Home ownership is positive for the Australian economy, our society and the nation's finances. If Australians are able to affordably own their own home and achieving housing stability, this can set them and their children up for success in life and reduce the risks of welfare dependence and other challenges that they might face. The proportion of Australian households that own their own home has fallen marginally from 71% down to 67% over the last 2 decades. Now, it is concerning that the decline in home ownership and increases in mortgage costs has been most pronounced in family-forming households, and that Australians are increasingly carrying into their retirement larger mortgage debts or are renting. And as a government, we acknowledge that for certain Australian households, housing affordability is an issue regardless of where they live, due to the economic circumstances that they face, which could include economic hardship, unemployment, or other challenges they find in life, including having a disability. The principal cause of declining housing affordability is straightforward economics. It is about the failure of housing supply to adjust to increased demand, which has been driven by higher economic growth and economic growth more generally. We need more housing, not just for homeowners, but for renters, for key workers such as nurses, teachers and police officers who can't afford to rent or buy. Australian residential property investment is more geared to capital gain than rental yield. If mum and dad investors were not part of our private rental market, there would be fewer rental properties available, meaning higher rents, further crowding out of those on lower incomes, and even greater pressure on already overstressed community and social housing resources. Mum and dad investors are putting a roof over the head of around a quarter of all rental households in this country. Keeping them in our private rental market is important for ongoing rental supply. Ahuri research has demonstrated that the UK's stock transfers have contributed significantly to a new housing sector that has been innovatively and creatively meeting new housing policy goals in a post-grant environment. The bond aggregator would issue bonds to the market and on-lend them to fund community housing providers, and potentially in partnership with their joint venture partnerships, potentially from the private sector, allowing them access to cheaper and longer-term finance.